My name is Megan. The day the judge granted me a full order of protection against my family felt like a storm finally clearing. Sitting in that downtown courtroom, I watched as my mom, Helen, my dad, Richard, and my sister, Olivia, huddled with their lawyer across the aisle. The judge's words, "Concern does not give anyone the right to violate another adult's autonomy. Being family does not place you above the law," rang in my ears like a long, awaited victory. It all started with a simple spare key. I'm a 28-year-old software engineer working long hours in Manhattan while living in a cozy Brooklyn apartment. My family, originally from a small town in upstate New York, always thought I was too naive to take care of myself in the big city. A year ago, I gave Olivia the spare key to my apartment, thinking it would be for emergencies. But soon, I started noticing strange things. I'd come home after a 12-hour day at work, only to find the lights on, my closet door ajar, and random items moved around. At first, I thought I was just stressed and forgetful. One evening, I walked into my apartment and felt the warm air, a sign that someone had been there recently. I checked my bag where I kept the spare key, and it was gone. That Sunday, at dinner with my family, I confronted them. Helen put down her fork, looking at me as if I'd betrayed her. "Do you really think I'd steal your key?" she asked. Olivia rolled her eyes and said it was for my own safety. Richard leaned back and told me not to overreact, reminding me of all the sacrifices they'd made for me to have this life in the city. I didn't argue. Instead, I just smiled and walked away. What they didn't know was that months ago, when I started noticing small things going missing, I'd installed a couple of Wi-Fi cameras in my apartment. That night, I checked the camera app on my phone. There, clear as day, was Olivia unlocking my door in the middle of the afternoon. She called out my name for show, then welcomed Helen and Richard in. They walked around my apartment, going through my mail, checking my fridge, and looking at my prescription bottles. It was like they owned my life. The next Sunday, when Helen texted me to talk things out, I drove to their upstate home. They started by telling me how worried they were about me living alone. I listened quietly, then took out my phone and played the footage. Their faces turned pale, then red. Olivia accused me of being creepy for having cameras. Helen clutched her chest and said I was treating them like criminals. Richard said they were just checking on me and that I owed them more. I just asked for the key back. After some huffing and eye-rolling, Olivia gave me a key. But when I got back to Brooklyn, I realized it was a new, shiny key, not the one I'd given her. They'd given me a copy, thinking I wouldn't notice. That's when I decided to change my locks. It cost me almost $300, a huge chunk of my savings. But I knew I had to do it. Olivia noticed the change within a few hours and started texting me, saying she was just trying to help and that Mom was really upset. I ignored her. Over the next few days, my voicemail filled with Helen's messages, alternating between sweet concern and sharp guilt-tripping. Richard started sending me long emails about all the money they'd spent on me. Instead of backing off, they escalated. One Friday, I went to my favorite coffee shop and saw Helen and Richard sitting there. Helen chirped, "What a coincidence. We were in the neighborhood." Another time, I got a text from my friend with a picture of Richard standing outside my building. When I confronted him, he said he was just making sure the neighborhood was safe. My friend Lily told me that this wasn't concern, it was control. I realized that changing the locks was just the first step. I needed to make them respect my boundaries. So I ordered a doorbell camera. One Thursday, while I was working from home, my phone buzzed with a motion alert. It was Olivia trying to force the key into my new lock. She called Helen and Richard, and soon they were all at my door, trying to convince me to open up. They started telling the neighbors that I was unstable and needed to be checked on. I was furious. I told the building manager, Mr. Thompson, and the security guard, Mr. Davis, that I had them on camera trying to force their way in and that I did not consent to their entry. One of the neighbors had already called the police. When the officers arrived, they talked to my family, then to me. They said they'd file a report and that if my family came back, I should call immediately. Mr. Thompson also warned me that if these scenes kept happening, my lease might not be renewed. That night, I knew I had to take legal action. I saved all the footage, texts, and voicemails on a hard drive. I got in touch with a legal aid clinic, and Erica, the lawyer, helped me file a petition for an order of protection. She said this was harassment and stalking, and I had documented everything well. Filing the petition cost me over $400, but I knew it was worth it. The judge granted a temporary order of protection quickly. When my family received the court papers, they called me angry and panicked. I told them it was because they wouldn't respect my boundaries. On court day, their lawyer tried to frame it as a misunderstanding. But Erica presented the evidence, and in the end, the judge granted a full order of protection for several years. After that, the fallout was significant. Olivia lost her job at the private school because of the restraining order and police report. Helen stepped down from some church committees, and Richard didn't get the promotion he'd been hoping for. My life isn't perfect, but it's mine. I moved to a new apartment in Long Island City, where the doorman only lets in people on the list. My phone is quiet, and I can sleep through the night without worry. I've learned that setting boundaries is not selfish. It's necessary for my own safety and peace.